we're going to miss practice because it's her grandma's cousin's hamster's birthday. So there could be a variety of reasons why your athlete isn't highlighted more. And it is almost never that we don't like the kid. What else do you want me to do? I posted it. I emailed it. I put a video out about it. I have things on social media about it. Like, they want rules for others to not miss because they're frustrated, but they don't want to factor in when they themselves are missing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cheer Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Cotton, and today we are doing a tongue-in-cheek rant episode. It is things that parents say that make me want to swallow a pom-pom. And we're going to have a lot of fun chatting about some of the just frustrations as a cheer coach. If you are a cheer parent, please take it with a grain of salt. Know that I'm just kind of speaking to the masses and I'm not calling anyone out specifically. But before we get into the episode, please make sure that you head on over to Cheer Gym Owners on Facebook and All-Star Cheer Coaches and Owners, and you have joined both of those groups. And then also check out nextgenowners.com to learn more about how to join the academy, and check out our conferences at ngconferences.com, where you can register for our conference in Dallas, June 20th through the 22nd. It is going to be the best conference in the industry, and you are not going to want to miss it. All right, so now let's get to it. So welcome back. And we are on the podcast where we build businesses, we coach coaches, and we build athletes, all while surviving the Thunderdome of parents. Today's episode is a special rant. It's a love letter to every coach who's ever smiled, gritted their teeth when parents said, my daughter's a flyer, but she doesn't really need to stretch. So grab your coffee or something maybe a little bit stronger, and let's get right into it. So I'm going to be going through a bunch of things that parents say and just kind of my general responses to them. Again, if you're a parent listening to this episode, I'm not calling you out specifically, but these are some of the things that coaches hear year over year that can be a little bit frustrating. So the very first one I mentioned, which is a parent saying, yes, my daughter's a flyer, but she doesn't need to be any more flexible. And the reality is they absolutely do need to stretch. If they are flyers, that is a huge component in what they are doing in the air. And no, it is not just flexibility, it is also the strength to pull and hold the body positions in the air. So having a coach present to correct their angles, correct their lines, do those kinds of things is very important, and is more likely to continue your athlete's presence in the air. So it is absolutely something that needs to happen. It's not a negotiable thing. It doesn't matter if they're already pretty flexible. Flexibility fades if it is not maintained. I used to be incredibly flexible when I was a gymnast, and now I cannot do the splits on any side. It is something that goes away if we do not rep it. And it is also something that you need to make sure that you're doing safely and correctly. It is possible to injure yourself while stretching. So there is a reason that I personally require flyers to attend stretching classes. And when they're not attending their stretching classes, they generally hear from me, or their parents hear from me if they're on my team. The next one would be the one and only, can we just take the year off and tumble? Now, this is one that just drives me bonkers for so many reasons. And I can understand the mindset of, well, the thing that is preventing my athlete from attaining the next level is the fact that they're a level 2 athlete, but they don't have their tuck. So in order to make level 3, they need to get their tuck. What that neglects is, are they a level 3 athlete in every other area? Are they a level 3 stunter? Are they a level 3 jumper? Are they a level 3 performer? Generally, as you move up in levels, you start to see those things increase. Now, I'm not saying that level 1 performers are any less than level 3, but are they contributing at every single level? Are they capable of performing pyramids at a higher level? Those are all valid questions that you can't answer or solve by just taking the year off to tumble. And what tends to happen is when people take the year off to tumble, one is even if they are super diligent about coming to their class, they do 2 to 3 classes a week or 2 classes a week in a private lesson, they will advance in their tumbling skills if they stay diligent with it. But what they will not do is advance all of the other skills. And then they come back and they can't compete with the other athletes who maybe aren't quite as strong of a tumbler, but are stronger in stunting. And they get beat out for stunting positions, making it so athletes take the spot that they wanted on the underneath a stunt, and then they end up just being a tumbler in the routine. And although that people who are just tumblers can be incredibly valuable, it's far better to be valuable across the spectrum. So I want to see athletes push through that. And if they want to level up their tumbling, they should be doing that throughout the year while also on a team. They want to keep practicing those skills to get their tumbling skills up. But quite frankly, if your athlete is across the board a higher level athlete and it's only tumbling that's holding them back, then there are other ways to accomplish it other than taking the year off to tumble and neglecting all of those other things so they get a little bit worse. The other reason that I think this is a horrible plan is, statistically speaking, in my experience, when people take the year off to tumble, they don't actually do that. What they do is they take the year off, and then when tryouts are coming around, they try to cram in a bunch of tumbling in 2 to 3 months. I have a couple athletes that are doing this right now. They were on my level 4 team, and now they want to come back and they want to make my world's team, and I have not seen them all year until late February, early March, and now they're trying to get a double full. And they had a mediocre full at best at the end of the last season. So that's a hefty road to go. Now, if they'd taken the whole year off and they tumbled 2 to 3 times a week, is that a possibility? Yes, but they tend to neglect it, or they go for a lower tier option where they maybe are tumbling once a week because they want more free time. But doing something once a week is really not enough to progress consistently at it. It's only enough to maintain. So it's really important that athletes are not taking the year off to tumble. And if they are, they've got to do it exactly the right way. But it just is generally not, if the goal is to take the year off and level up, that just doesn't happen very often. So I hate that one. The next one that drives all coaches and all gym owners bonkers is, well, I didn't see that information. Now, I know that it is really hard and we all live very busy lives, but the amount of times that we have posted information in band, in an email, with a text, told the athletes, put it on whatever other media platform you have, and still had people say, oh, I didn't see that. You know, we do educational videos, we do live videos, we do posts on band, and we still have people who say, oh, I didn't see that. Right now, it's end of season. So the amount of people that text and say, hey, what time do we need to be in Orlando for D2 Summit is like fairly long. And we're like, well, I covered it in the video. I posted it in the band post. We've talked about it with your athletes, but sure, let me take time out to personally tell you of the time. And then they go, oh, well, I didn't see it. And it's like, hey, band that you're messaging me in right now, if you exit the messenger and go to the main page, you'll see it's the pinned post on band. If you just open it, you'll see the information. But people really want things to kind of come within their window and within their zone. And I get it. I miss information too. And I know that sometimes people are not saying, when they say, I didn't see that, they're not saying it was our fault, but sometimes we can feel attacked in that way. And it can just drive you bonkers because you're like, what else do you want me to do? I posted it. I emailed it. I put a video out about it. I have things on social media about it. Like at this point, aside from personally calling you or having a personal one-on-one meeting, or sending a carrier pigeon, I'm not sure what other methodologies of communication I can employ. And it's a challenge, but I will tell you, I'm kind of doing the tongue-in-cheek challenges of parent questions, but gym owners, y'all are just as bad sometimes. Like you email competition companies, like I am a vendor to gym owners. And the amount of times that I have gym owners say, oh, I didn't see that, or I didn't know that information, where I'm like, it's literally right here. Like the website that you used to get my phone number, it's right above my phone number. And they're like, oh, I didn't even see it. Right. So we all have those issues. So my response to that is, although it makes you want to, lose your mind, treat people with grace in all of these situations. Choose grace, explain things to people. It is going to go a lot further. My next question that makes me want to swallow Pom-Pom is, when will they get X skill? When will they get their back handspring? When will they throw their back walkover by themselves? When will they get their full? And the answer is, I don't really know. I can give you a ballpark of, hey, they're on track. If they keep progressing at the rate they're progressing, I think it's reasonable to have this in the next 2 to 3 months. But what I can't tell you is they're going to get it in 3 more private lessons, or they're going to get it in 4 more days, because there are so many factors that could impact that happening versus not happening. It's just not within our control. And really, it's only within that individual athlete's control and their mental toughness, because from the progression from the tumble track to the rod floor or the spring floor is a challenging one. So you don't know. It may be really easy on the tumble track, and then suddenly it's not easy on the rod floor. It's like a switch in surface. So you never really know. The next one will be, why did we pick this division when we're not winning in it? And the answer is, generally speaking, when we pick our divisions, we don't know all the other teams in the division. Now, oftentimes there are very successful teams that are in the same division every single year. In D2, that's a little less common. You start to see a lot of fluctuation in D2 gyms where they have this level one year and this level the other year. So we don't always know exactly the level that we're going to be able to offer in a D2 gym. And so you may be picking the division based off the athletes that you have and what you think will be competitive. But from there, you don't really know what you're going to be going up against. So maybe you are going up against a team that is just dominant, and no matter what you do, your team isn't beating them that year. All you can do is keep working and keep progressing and keep trying to get better, and maybe take them down on a given weekend. What I can tell you about cheer is, generally speaking, on the United score sheet, any team can win on any given weekend if they have the best weekend of their life, and other things like maybe the team that they've always been beaten by doesn't have as good a synchronization, or maybe they're just a little bit off. So things can happen. But when we pick divisions, we aren't able to call all the other gym owners. Or actually, secondary question is, why did we pick this division? There's no one else in it. Well, we don't necessarily pick a division knowing what all the other gyms are going to offer. We also don't know what competitions all the other gyms are going to go to. So sometimes we don't know that there's going to be no other medium junior threes in our area, or senior twos. Like, it fluctuates year to year. Last year in our area, there were 1 million junior ones. This year, there's like 3, and everyone has youth. So it varies year to year. And we don't have any sort of like reporting board where all the gym owners go and say, hey guys, this is the teams that we are offering. Number 5 is, shouldn't athletes be able to learn everything at practice? Why would they need to do extra? This one is tough, because what it implies is that we have enough time in practice for athletes to be able to progress their skills and practice the routine that we're trying to perform. And the reality is that is very, very difficult to do. We need the time that we have at practice to focus on things that the team is doing. We don't have the time to progress individual skills for things outside of level. Now, every once in a while, you might have the opportunity to do that. Maybe towards the end of the season, if the routine is mastered, you might have the opportunity to do that. Maybe if there's a bunch of people missing, you might have the opportunity for some open tumbling. But unless you're on a team where you know you're going to be developing skill all year long, this is likely not what you are doing. And the example of that would be, my level 6 team doesn't start the season with enough double fulls. So we have to train all year to get more and more skills added to the routine. So we're always trying to level up. We're trying to push that boundary. Whereas my level 4 team, we start the season correctly leveled. We have the right numbers, we have the right ratios, and we're not doing quite as much progression. So if athletes want to progress, they need to do things outside of practice, because outside of practice is where they can work on individual stuff, and inside of practice is when we work on things as a team. On top of that, conditioning and stretching and doing those other things outside of practice is also very important, because it keeps the body in motion. And 3 practices a week is great. A lot of gyms practice 2 practices a week, and that, in my opinion, is just not enough to keep us fully engaged and staying healthy and being successful and growing as athletes. The next one would be, why isn't my athlete highlighted more? And this one is a question that I can totally understand. I get where people are coming from because they're like, well, my daughter is a really good jumper and she's not at the front of jumps and I don't know why. And the reality is your daughter or athlete, male or female, is not highlighted more because that's what the routine calls for. Not every single time are we making a decision based off of who do I want to highlight in this section. There are points where we do that, but overall it's about the team picture. And sometimes it doesn't make sense to get this one person up to the front because we then are going to need them at the back. So sometimes this is more of a chess situation where I'm thinking about the third and fourth move where I really want your athlete to be highlighted doing X tumbling pass. And in order to do that, I have to have them in this formation here towards the back and then this formation towards the center. And then they're able to tumble up to the front. So there could be a variety of reasons why your athlete isn't highlighted more. And it is almost never that we don't like the kid. At least in my experience, in the gyms that I go to, that is not the situation that I have encountered. Now I've heard, they're not highlighted because we don't trust them to perform, or in competition, they tend to choke, or that athlete is going to really give it 100% today in choreography, but then they're going to slack off, or they're not consistently at practice. A whole bunch of a million different things of why outside factors that might impact that. But generally speaking, it is much more from the perspective of that is just what we need to do within the routine to create a successful routine. My next one would be the question or the statement, not really even a question, the statement of we're going to miss practice because it's her grandma's cousin's hamster's birthday. Now, there are acceptable reasons to miss practice. Family emergency, death in the family, something like that. Absolutely. A mandatory school event. Absolutely. They're very, very sick, contagious, throwing up, bad things happening, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all reasonable reasons to miss practice. From there, we as coaches want you to miss as little as humanly possible because the most important people to be at practice are the athletes. And trust me when I tell you, every single athlete, even if you think your athlete isn't used in every section, every single athlete being at practice is important. It has a negative effect on the entire team when the whole team isn't there. One, they're kids, so they get into the mindset of like, why does so-and-so get to miss and I don't get to miss? And they don't remember that they missed the week before. Number two is it's going to require a coach or someone else or an alternate or someone to go into that spot, or make it so things are not throwing. And even if it is individual skills, it matters about the timing and the overall presentation and the look. And if your athlete is not there, we don't get that repetition. But more than that, it is the stunting aspect. And every missed rep is a missed opportunity to perfect things. And even if they're hitting, doesn't necessarily matter because, again, it comes down to synchronization, uniformity, all of those other aspects. So there's a whole bunch of things that go into account when it comes to athletes missing practice. And my least favorite thing about this is people will say, well, attendance is a huge issue. What are you going to do about it? And my response is like, well, what do you want me to do? Like my answers, my options are punish people. But then if I'm going to punish people, it's going to have to be across the board. Everyone's going to have to get a punishment. So if you go on vacation when it's not approved, then your athlete's going to have a punishment. And generally speaking, people don't want that. They want rules for others to not miss because they're frustrated, but they don't want to factor in when they themselves are missing. I hate when kids miss for concerts. It's absolutely like my biggest pet peeve, partially because I think concerts are silly and I don't like them. I don't think musical artists generally sound as good in person. Just listen to it on the radio. But again, I'm biased. It drives me bonkers, the amount of things that kids miss to go and spend a whole bunch of money to go to a concert. But it's important to them, and I understand that. But I don't like it. Now, what happens when a concert goes on? People don't ask me for permission. Or when people are going on vacation, they don't say, hey, Dan, do you mind if we do this vacation? What generally happens is people say, hey, Dan, we're going to Hawaii. And I go, no. And they go, well, I already have tickets and I'm going and my parents are saying I have to go, so I don't really have a choice. So then my option is punish the athlete or kick them off the team and then what is a more negative result? I don't know. Sometimes you have to make an example, but this is a personal pet peeve of every single coach when they get those messages of like, oh, I'm not going to make it to practice, especially when it is seen as something avoidable. Okay. It is very frustrating to be like, oh, well, I didn't do my homework, so now my parents are making me stay home and do my homework. That was completely avoidable. And now you're punishing the entire team for you not doing your homework when likely you stayed up all night doom scrolling TikTok, and you easily could have done your homework. And you probably are going to do that after you do your homework tonight and get done at 8 or 9 o'clock, and then doom scroll TikTok until 1 a.m. So let's actually set boundaries so we don't have to miss practice. So those are the 9, I think, things that parents say that make me want to swallow a pom-pom. And there's probably more, but those are the ones that I could come up with off the top of my head today as I was thinking about the episode. If there are more and you think we should have covered them, shoot us a message, engage with one of our Facebook posts or Instagram posts. You're probably going to see some shorts on this on Instagram at some point in time. So, post what are things you hear that make you frustrated, and I can respond to them. If you are a parent, look, we love you and we know that we wouldn't have a business without you. I'm just giving a voice to the masses. These are the frustrating things that we hear, and it's okay to laugh at it and enjoy it and get that stress off of our chests with also understanding that you guys have valid questions. And just because you ask them doesn't make me frustrated. It's more that a lot of these questions are questions I've answered hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And I know for you, it might be the first time. But those are the things that parents say that make me want to eat a pom-pom. Thank you for listening. And with that, we will catch you on the next episode.